Hi there, welcome to the channel or welcome back. My name is Angela. I'm a home gardener growing here in my southwestern Ohio garden in the US, Zone 6. And today I'm going to share with you guys what's going on here out in my garden. Today is Monday, March 26th, I think the date is. Pretty sure about that. Anyway, if you're ready, let's jump in. So if you've been hanging out with me at all recently, you'll know I'm like heavy into landscaping efforts here on our property. And I'm going to show you a couple of the beds that I've been working on. Now, I'm also going to show you a couple of like lessons learned that I feel like I should have done differently. And if I start developing any new garden beds, I will heed these lessons learned. Things I did wrong on this go around. If you guys can you hear the sound of the cicadas? This year we're having the emergence of brood 14. They're a 17-year periodical cicada brood that has emerged this year. And there's so many of them. I'll try to show you a couple if I come across any, which I'm sure I will. They are resting on everything. All my plants, trees, anywhere where there's like a natural surface, there are cicadas on them. They're so awesome. I love hearing the cicadas anyway, but this year it's crazy loud. Can you hear that? Kind of sounds like like an ambulance siren way off in the distance, but it's just the sound of the cicadas. All right, let's get into it. Okay, over here on this little, what I'm calling a sunny ridge, it's shaded now, but it'll become progressively sunnier as the day goes on. I'm doing some mostly native plants here, and the couple of lessons learned, which you'll probably notice right away. For one, the bed has already gotten really weedy, even though I did lay mulch down. What I did not do, and I've started doing there in the background, is to do an underlayment. I like to use cardboard for that. There are, I guess a couple of other options you could use for that. Cardboard's free. If you have sources, any kind of stores that are discarding their cardboard will oftentimes let you just take the cardboard. I get it from shipments that we receive where I work. I've used it for many, many years. The other thing that I wish I'd have done sooner that I have started doing now is to go around and delineate the bed with like a little trench or some sort of you can use like paving stones or just anything to kind of demarcate the boundaries of the bed. I did this afterwards, and it probably would have changed the way that the location of the plants, like where I situated them, because the bed ended up being a lot larger. Once I started marking off a boundary, I expanded it a lot more than I originally had planned to. So it's not a big deal, and most of these plants can be moved in subsequent years, and hopefully they will multiply and I'll be expanding them. But what you can see, because I didn't put the underlayment down first, is the weeds. I'm going to put cardboard on all this. This is like the extra space here in the front where I had expanded the boundary out and made the bed bigger than originally planned. But even where I laid mulch down, like for instance, this is an artemisia that I started growing, but there's weeds popping up everywhere through the mulch. So I knew better, and I don't know why I didn't do it the right way, but that's what I've got now. So it's not too late though. I'm still collecting cardboard, and what I'm going to do is, in those areas where the weeds are popping up through the mulch, is gently rake that mulch aside, lay the cardboard down, and then remulch it. So it just means a little bit of rework, but it's not a huge deal. But having skipped over that, it's hard to tell what's an intentional plan and what's weeds at this point. So I'm going to be fixing that. I'm going to hopefully work on that today. We'll see, because I've got some other more pressing tasks that I would like to get done. But I've got like all kinds of stuff in here, and I'm still like memorizing these plants that I have planted, so I'm not going to be able to just rattle them off really quickly. I've tried to keep the tags with the plant until I remember what's what. This is an anise hyssop rosy posy here, and There's so many. This one here is a goldenrod, fireworks. And that's a weed. I think what I may do is once I get this little bed, big bed actually, really cleaned up, I'm going to go through and give you guys a tour of it. Right now it wouldn't be showing it off to its best advantage. But there are a number of things in there. I'm just my strategy is just to plant like crazy. And with that, I think that my battery is dying, so I'm going to switch cameras and I'll catch back up. So I switched over just to my phone camera, and I know this bed here, I'm still looking at the same bed. It just looks like a scraggly mess. I'm going to revisit that with you guys once it's all cleaned up. Now this section over here is a whole different area that I am going to be working on too. Right now I haven't done too much to it. I've tried to get a couple of ground covers established in here, but it does need a lot of weeding, figuring out what I want to keep in here or if it's just mostly invasive weeds. And speaking of cicadas, check this out. This is a Bergenia that I recently planted, not a native plant, FYI, and there are 3 cicadas on there already. I love these little critters so much. Their whole life cycle is fascinating. Kind of zoom in on one. I hear a lot of people say that they're just like kind of creepy looking. I think that they are amazing. Their wings are gorgeous, the bronzy color and so textury. They are everywhere here now, and I love it. I love listening to the cicadas, even when it's not a periodical year, when it's just like the regular cicadas that you get every year. They're just amazing to me. I love the sound. It's the sound of summer to me. But all of this area here will be part of my efforts cleanup. I do have some columbine in this concrete planter here. This is the first year these have bloomed. I think I planted them last year. I grew them from seed. They're McCanna's Giant, I think is the variety. But they did not bloom last year, but they're blooming this year. And they're just really pretty. So hopefully those will keep coming back every year, reseeding. And I'm going to pop over to give you some reference. There's the house. Let's pop over and look at the vegetable garden. This is where I'm going to be focusing my working efforts today. I'm going to do some more cleanup. And I'm going to set this camera down that I was using. Let me actually get it turned off. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to get my potting bench area cleaned up. It's become a repository for anything and everything. It's driving me nuts. And let's look at our tomato bed here. This is a 3-foot by 12-foot raised bed. We went on vacation recently. You might have seen my post to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But I made sure to get these planted before I left. And unfortunately, something happened to that one. So they're still very, very small. We really need some good hot weather. This is a black strawberry, and it's the first one that has a tomato on. So I was happy to see that. And in this other bed, these are really the only 2 beds I'm planting this year. Got mostly onions and peppers. And I do have another black strawberry tomato plant here. I couldn't toss this one out because it was flowering already. And even though I was trying to limit my tomatoes to this bed here, I found a couple of plants that were doing really well and I couldn't bear to just toss them out. But I do have peppers mostly on this end and onions down here. And I do have a couple of volunteer potato plants. I know I'm in the shadow there. Let me flip around. So I'm letting this grow. And there's another one down here. I'm just going to see what happens with that. I've got yarrow here. This is yarrow that I grew from seed starting last year. And then a bunch more in this grow bag that I want to transplant to more of a permanent location around the property, maybe in, some of those native beds that I'm working on. These are the remainder of my tomato seedlings that may or may not get planted. Maybe I'll give them away. And the star of the show, really, so far, when it comes to the veggie garden, is the Sugar Rush peach pepper. I've just got it in a black plastic pot that's probably maybe a 2 or 3 gallon size. I've overwintered this. I've started from seed and overwintered it the last 2 winters in the house, but it's got a ton of peppers on it already. A few, at least, if not a ton. So I am looking forward to that. These Sugar Rush peach peppers have become my favorites as far as making hot sauces and things. They just have such a great flavor. They're pretty hot. They're not ghost pepper hot, but I mean, when you tone that down with vinegar and other additives to the hot sauce, it ends up being not too hot at all. I did share that process, that recipe in a video recently. I'll link to that either above or down in the description, but I'm out of it now from the batch that I made last year, and I'm really missing it because I put it on everything, and I'm so excited that I'm going to be getting more of these peppers, and I'll probably, if I get enough peppers, double the quantity of sauce that I make. Yeah. This looks like another pop-up potato plant right there. And I'm thinking the reason I'm getting these volunteer potatoes is because some of the soil in this bed I had pulled from my stash of grow bags over there, in which I did grow potatoes for the last 2 years, so I'm pretty sure that's what is going on there. Still got my Arbor Day trees that I need to get planted, and our trellis here with our hops plants is going crazy. I did, before we left for vacation, go around the whole perimeter of this bed and just trim it back because the vines were just spilling out everywhere. Hubs is a home brewer off and on, but he's not brewed in recent years. So whatever crop we get this year will go to one of our friends, Danny, who is starting to homebrew beer, and he has a YouTube channel called The Neighbor's Kitchen. I'll link it above or below, so go check out his channel. But he will be the recipient of all these hops this year, which will be good because for the last few years we haven't really done anything with them, just let them kind of dry up on the vine. And I am going to clean up all the rest of these grow bags. This is the big year of cleanup for me. You probably, if you've been hanging around for a while, have heard me say it. It's not a big growing year. It's just going to be a year of cleanup. One project that we recently did is add some gravel to this creek bed. This is kind of a dry creek bed unless we get heavy rains. And in that case, there is definitely water that flows through here down to our pond. But it was muddy and it's just a mess with leaves. So I cleared out all the leaves and we laid down a new layer of gravel here. There had been gravel previously, I think from before we bought the house 13 years ago. But it had long since gotten, buried down deep in the mud. So that'll help keep that looking good, I think. And still working on this area here, that's shady area above that creek bed. I've got a lady fern there. There's a little ostrich fern there. And of course, because I didn't do the underlayment, there are weeds coming up through the mulch. So that is a lessons learned for me, for sure. And there's a Jacob's ladder. And all along down there is a ground cover that I'm establishing. And I think it's called Meadow Sweet. I forget what it's called. I'm going to take you down closer and we can take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it's Meadow Sweet, but it's so pretty and delicate, and I planted it all along the edge of the creek bed here. Some of it didn't make it from last year, some of it did, and it will multiply, so I'm happy about that. It may not be Meadow Sweet. I'm going to look it up and put the name on the screen. I don't want to tell you guys something wrong. And I've got some things in pots all along this little front walkway here. I promise I'm going to do a full tour and give you the names of all these plants. Right now I feel like I'm just kind of keeping my head above water. These are lady and red ferns, I believe. Planted those several years ago. They're pretty happy there, even though they get a decent amount of sun, but I wouldn't say full sun. They get a lot of shade too, so they're they're hanging in there. And a Japanese painted fern, a couple more of those lady and red ferns. And last year I had planted some grasses along here that said that they would do well in part shade, and I wanted it to kind of block this view of the deck here, this opening, because they were going to get tall, but they didn't come back this year, so that was disappointing. But it's okay, it happens. I'm sure all of you guys can relate. If you're a gardener trying to grow things, that also means that you're losing things too. No plant is ever 100%, like all plants are not 100% reliable. And then this bed is looking really, really good. I've got some Hidcote lavender blooming there. That's so pretty. And another thing, this is new to me that I planted last year, but this is the first year it's bloomed, is my penstemon. This is Pocahontas, but I'm just thrilled. I thought the foliage itself was pretty just in and of itself, with that gorgeous dark green and purpley color, but the flowers, really, really beautiful. Got a coneflower here, and I forget which color, but it's getting ready to bloom, so we will find out shortly. And then this shrub here is a red prince weigela. I do like it, but I am going to move it this fall. I'm going to dig it up out of there and relocate it, because I don't really like it doesn't fit in with kind of the native theme that I've got going on in this little bed. And I have something else. I have a tall grass that I want to put there. Let me back up. That'll reach almost to our kitchen window right there. So that is what the plan for that is. My husband loves this shrub, and as do I. It is so pretty, and the flowers are so prolific. It just doesn't kind of go with what I'm trying to do here. So it'll find a new home for sure. And I did get I picked up one little 4-cell pack of Cosmos that I've spread out. There's one there. There's one right down in there. And one there. And I planted the 4th one in a pot in front of the house. I don't do a whole lot of annuals except for just a couple little one-offs here and there. And I do like to do a hanging basket of annuals up here on our little side porch. Right up there. These are Calibrachoa. Those are so pretty. And this is a house plant. It's a majesty palm. Most of my house plants do go outside for summer vacation every year. I've got another headcoat lavender there. This is an eastern blue star that I got as a tiny little seedling. It hasn't done anything. It's looked like that for a couple of weeks now. And in here, there's nothing intentional, some weeds. This was some corkscrew grass that I grew last year that was supposed to come back. It did not, so I'm definitely going to clean that out and get something good planted there. Just a little view of the woods. Let me take it out. So there's a lawnmower going in the background, but that high-pitched noise are the cicadas. Just love it. And that's probably about it for this video. Just wanted to share with you guys how things are looking and share with you guys my 2 lessons that I've learned as I've tried to start these new beds here this year and last year. 1, define the boundaries up front. 2, always do an underlayment for weed suppression before adding the mulch. And I'm going to hope those stick with me because I don't want to have to be dealing with the rework. It would have made things a lot smoother from the get-go if I would have just done it. I was in too big of a hurry. I just wanted to get the plants, get them in the ground, see some kind of immediate result, and now I'm wishing I'd done things differently. So word to the wise there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today in the garden. Let me know what you're working on in your garden. Comment below. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. And I'll be back soon to share with you guys some new plants that I ordered while we were on vacation. I couldn't get my mind off my garden, so I did a little bit of plant shopping online. Those plants should be getting here soon. I'll share with you what I got. So until then, just keep planting. And before I sign off, I wanted to show you guys the peonies that are blooming. These are one of my very favorite flowers. Just so lovely. But here's an example of the cicadas. They're just on everything. I just love them so much. They're so harmless. They don't hurt anybody. They just come out of the ground, mate. But isn't that pretty? Oh. Yeah, they're everywhere.